My boss fired me for being too expensive, after 18 years leading the engineering team. We can get 3 junior engineers for your salary, he smirked during my termination meeting. Nothing personal, just cost cutting. I nodded, politely, wished everyone well and cleared out my desk without complaint. His panic calls began. When? Chapter 1. The end of an era. 18 years. That's how long I'd poured my life into that company, longer than some of our interns had been alive. I built the engineering division from a cluttered corner in the back office into the beating heart of the company's innovation. Deadlines, patents, client crises, sleepless product rollouts, I'd been through it all. So when I got the calendar invite labeled simply, HR meeting, mandatory, I knew something was off. The meeting room smelled faintly of burnt coffee and laminate polish. My boss Leonard sat at the head of the table next to Jenna from HR. She didn't meet my eyes. Leonard leaned back, hands folded across his gut like a king dismissing a loyal knight. Mark, he began, voice dripping with rehearsed regret. You've been a valuable member of our family, but after careful review, we've decided to eliminate your position. I sat still. He continued, it's just economics. We can get 3 junior engineers for what we pay you. It's not personal, just cost cutting. Jenna slid the exit packet across the table, severance terms, legalese, a printed thank you letter signed with a fake flourish. I smiled gently. I understand completely, I said. No hard feelings. I gathered my things, a framed photo of my late wife, my favorite mechanical pencil, and the mug that read, World's Most Overqualified Firefighter, a running joke about how often I save projects in crisis mode. Leonard didn't even walk me out, but I wasn't angry. I had something Leonard would never understand, patience, memory, and a quiet contingency plan I'd nurtured over the years. And the moment I closed my office door behind me, I whispered, let the countdown begin. Chapter 2. The seed. They forgot they planted. I didn't go home right away. Instead, I drove to a modest office building on the east side of town, one most people at the company didn't even know existed. The small plaque on the door read, Iron Core Solutions, Private Engineering Consultancy. It wasn't flashy, no glass walls or fancy signage, but what it lacked in appearance, it more than made up for in power, because Iron Core was mine. 3 years ago, after Leonard ignored yet another one of my warnings about insecure client data protocols, I decided I needed options. I quietly filed the paperwork, registered the LLC, and built a skeleton team of some of the best freelancers I'd ever worked with, people who valued loyalty, discretion, and excellence. We never poached clients. We didn't need to. We simply cleaned up the messes others created. And we made a quiet profit doing it. I entered the office, nodded at Marcy, my right hand, and sat at my desk. Did it happen? She asked. Eyes already scanning my expression. I nodded. Just like we expected. Leonard said I was too expensive. Marcy snorted. Poor guy doesn't realize you've been the only reason half his contracts didn't implode. That's why we're going to let them implode now, I said calmly. I pulled out my laptop, opened a secured folder, and clicked on a document labeled, Failsafe. Protocols, conflicts, docs. Because here's the thing Leonard forgot. In his obsession with cutting costs, he never understood how fragile his infrastructure really was. Especially when I was the one who'd built most of it, and warned him repeatedly about its vulnerabilities. I never sabotaged anything. That would be unethical. But I did document every flaw I ever brought up and was told to ignore. Every security risk, every compliance violation, every janky workaround patched together with spit and luck. And now I was going to hand that truth to the people who'd care most. His investors, his clients, and the regulatory authorities. Marcy passed me a coffee. Wednesday still the big reveal. I smiled. Yeah, let's call it, Foon Employment Day. Chapter 3. The panic begins. Wednesday morning, I was sitting in my home office, feet up, coffee in hand, when the first email landed. Subject, urgent, system breach detected, from NetSecure Compliance, to Leonard Green, CEO. I had blind copied myself into the list of recipients for a very specific reason. NetSecure was the firm I had personally referred years ago when Leonard's system nearly tanked under a client data leak. I knew the head of NetSecure well, because IronCore now provided half of their back-end solutions. This time, however, I had sent them a formal dossier of all ignored vulnerabilities, complete with date-stamped memos, emails, and screenshots. Not sabotage, just overdue housekeeping. I didn't even need to make a phone call. By 9:30 a.m., Leonard had called me 5 times. I let it ring. At 10:12 a.m., Marcy texted, "He's here, red-faced, sweating, asking if we'd consider consulting short-term." I replied with 2 words, "He can't afford us." Because now, Leonard's biggest client, Halberd Dynamics, a multi-million-dollar defense contractor, was threatening to pull their entire contract due to insecure system protocols. The system I had warned Leonard about 3 times over the last 2 years. The system he'd refused to upgrade because, quote, "if it ain't broke, don't fix it." Well, now it was broken. Badly. Worse still, that same system housed records for 5 other major clients, 2 of which were federally regulated. One breach, even theoretical, meant months of compliance audits, potential lawsuits, and halted projects. By noon, I was on my second cup of tea when Leonard finally texted, "Leonard. Mark. Please. I don't know what's happening, but I really need your help. You were right. Okay. You were right. Let's talk." I read it, set my phone down and smiled. Because what Leonard didn't know was that Halberd Dynamics had already signed a quiet proposal with IronCore. Yesterday. They'd made the decision within 6 hours of receiving the report I sent, attached with a detailed, professional breakdown of how we could secure their entire infrastructure within a month, their only condition. "We want nothing to do with green tech going forward." I leaned back, watching the storm roll in. Leonard had gambled on cutting cost, but now the bill was coming due. Chapter 4. The Boardroom Collapse. Thursday morning began with a headline. Halberd Dynamics terminates contract with GreenTech following data scare. Sources say insider alert sparked audit. The article dropped like a bomb. By 9 a.m., 3 more GreenTech clients had contacted legal counsel. The company's stock, already unstable, dropped by 17% before the market even officially opened. And Leonard? He was busy assembling the board. I knew because Marcy, still quietly loyal, sent me a message. Marcy. Emergency meeting in conference room 3. He's blaming IT, screaming about sabotage. It's a circus. I wasn't surprised. Leonard's biggest strength was shifting blame. And his biggest weakness? Thinking everyone else was too stupid to see it. But this time, the board wasn't buying it. Because along with my quiet departure from GreenTech, I had sent the board members one final courtesy packet. A compilation of every security memo, warning, risk projection, and denied upgrade budget I'd submitted over the past 4 years. All ignored. All time-stamped. All acknowledged. By Leonard. The cherry on top. Screenshots of his actual messages saying things like, "Security's just fear-mongering. We don't have the budget to coddle paranoia." So when he walked into that boardroom Thursday morning trying to scapegoat the IT team, they were already armed. And furious. At exactly 10:36 a.m., I got a call from a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Seconds later my phone buzzed again. Text from Marcy. He just got voted out as CEO, effective immediately. They've launched a formal audit. He tried to walk out but the lawyers were waiting. I exhaled slowly. Like I'd just closed the door on a chapter that had loomed over me for far too long. But it wasn't over yet. Because as Leonard was being escorted from the building, flanked by 2 executives and a legal rep, he finally realized the truth. The junior engineers he replaced me with. They'd quit the day before. 2 of them, fresh out of school, were now interning at IronCore. And the third? He was standing outside GreenTech's glass doors, holding a branded IronCore laptop and watching Leonard pass by. "Welcome to your new reality, boss," I muttered under my breath. The fun part? I hadn't even told Leonard what was coming next. Chapter 5. The Lawsuit. By Friday morning, GreenTech's legal department was in full crisis mode. Leonard's reckless decisions had cost the company nearly $120 million in lost contracts within 48 hours. But the true storm was still forming. Quietly, legally, and with precision. A storm I had prepared long before my final day. You see, Leonard hadn't just fired me. He had done so after years of undercutting internal warnings, violating cybersecurity protocols, and, most importantly, violating federal data protection regulations by ignoring repeated compliance reports I'd submitted. 2 years ago, I began documenting everything. Not out of malice, but because I'd seen this exact scenario destroy companies. And I wasn't about to let my name get dragged down with it. So when IronCore's legal team reached out and asked if I would serve as a confidential whistleblower consultant during GreenTech's upcoming FTC audit, I didn't hesitate. The lawsuit was filed that Monday morning. IronCore versus GreenTech et al. Citing data theft, breach of non-compete agreements, and executive misconduct during acquisition talks. Yes. Acquisition talks. Turns out, IronCore had once tried to acquire GreenTech. Leonard scoffed at the offer. Mocked it. Then used confidential details from those discussions to try and preempt IronCore in a government bid, using systems and frameworks we developed under NDA. Massive mistake. Because now, IronCore had every legal right to drag Leonard and the company through a prolonged court battle. The same junior engineers Leonard hired. 2 of them had given depositions voluntarily, citing pressure to falsify implementation dates and backdate performance metrics. Within 10 days, Leonard's personal assets were frozen pending investigation, his severance package was suspended, and the board issued a public apology, disavowing his actions and expressing their full cooperation with the ongoing legal proceedings. As for me, I wasn't interested in headlines. I didn't want applause. I just wanted peace. But I did receive one message that made me pause. An anonymous email. One sentence. Was it you? No signature. But I knew it was Leonard. I stared at the screen, then typed back, "You did it to yourself." I just made sure everyone saw it. Then I closed the laptop and walked outside, into a morning that finally felt free. Epilogue. The price of arrogance. 6 months later, I was sipping coffee on the balcony of a quiet coastal home far away from corporate chaos. No phones buzzing, no late-night bug fixes, just the sound of waves and the occasional tap of my rescue dog's tail against the deck. GreenTech. Gone. Well, not technically gone, but gutted. The FTC had fined the company $42 million. Several senior executives, including Leonard, were barred from holding C-level positions in any tech firm for the next 10 years due to gross negligence and ethical misconduct. The stock value plummeted, investors bailed, and the board sold what was left of the company, ironically, to IronCore. Leonard. He declared bankruptcy within 3 months. His house? Foreclosed. His car collection? Auctioned. And his reputation? Shattered beyond repair. The last anyone heard, he was living in a small, rented apartment outside Cleveland, teaching basic coding courses online under a pseudonym. The smugness that once oozed from his every word was now a distant echo, drowned out by legal bills and broken pride. As for me, IronCore honored our consulting agreement generously. But more than the money, they gave me something I didn't know I needed: respect. They brought me in quarterly for executive training, asked my input on new systems, and even credited me, anonymously, in their latest innovation white paper. No LinkedIn glory. No press interviews. Just the quiet satisfaction of knowing I had dismantled a bully. Not with rage, but with reason. Not with noise, but with patience, precision, and proof. Some men build legacies with ego. Others build them with silence and steel. And when Leonard thought he'd buried me, he didn't realize I was already standing behind him, shovel in hand, waiting for him to dig his own grave. Was this revenge perfectly justified? Tell us what you would have done in the comments below. Like the story. Share it with someone who needs this energy.